Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing today? I hope you're doing well. This is your guy, Demarcus Tunstall, with the Morning Motivation and the Beta Project here. Today is March 12th, as you can see here, and it's 2020. How's your 2020 going? Is it going well? I hope it's going well. I really do. All right, so let's talk about this today. Today is the power of the fruit, and it's awesome. Today's quote, it starts off. We're going at it from the jump. A bad tree cannot bear good fruit. And that came from Jesus. You can't be bad. It can't be bad when you start off, going at, the Jesus aspect. You can't go wrong. So let's go ahead and get started here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get after this. Let me bring you on. Let's talk. So what's going on? How you doing? Let me fix my collar here. So my name's Demarcus. I'm here for your motivation today. And so today is actually a really interesting video. The reason is it came to me as usual. It always does come to me. And it was actually a very interesting, I don't know how it came to me, but then I started thinking about it. And, obviously this is a piece of fruit. Ooh, ah. And a piece of fruit has a lot more representation in life than we ever think it does. Because we don't actually think about a lot of the pieces of the puzzle. We think about the fruit, which is the ending piece. And then we also think sometimes about the seed, because I enjoy talking about the seed and getting the seed in the ground in time and making sure the seed goes through its growth processes. But we don't think about how much it takes for the seed to go from being a seed to getting here. Because, ladies and gentlemen, this right here is, let's think of an apple, because obviously apples have seed, but apples in itself have seeds in them. But to get the apple to develop seeds, it must first develop itself. The seeds inside of an undeveloped apple will not utilize or will not create what it needs to create. The whole purpose of seeds are to recreate. So the idea behind this video today is that when you are in a gestation process or when you're growing, okay, if you are not seeing fruit, because think about it, the fruit on the tree doesn't actually show up until the maturation process of the tree is finished, right? So you don't just see apple trees with apples and it's still a little sapling. No. It actually has to go through the whole process from seed to giant tree before the apples start to form on the tree. So look at it as life, ladies and gentlemen. We don't actually see the apples growing on the trees until the apple tree has finished growing and now can support creating more of itself. All right? So I want you to think about your life in a situation where if you're not growing or you're not creating the fruit, you feel like your life is not necessarily producing anything, you have the choice. You need to examine your tree, because one reason that you may not be receiving any fruit is because your tree is not done growing yet. See, the average person goes out and they do, A, B, C, D, and then they wake up the next day and do A, B, C, D, but they're not putting any effort into growing their tree. They're not putting any energy into creating something new, because for every seed that you have in an apple tree, there's the possibility of creating more. The seed itself is amazingly powerful, but the appearance of fruit means that I did something right during the growing process. So let me go back to that first pick. A bad tree cannot bear good fruit, which means if you don't have a tree where you're working on the roots and the trunks and the leaves and the branches, you're not trimming back all the weeds, and you're not, this, that, and the other. I don't know a lot about trees, guys. You can obviously tell this. But you can't get to the point where all of a sudden you're going to reap rewards for your tree growing these fruits. So if you're not willing to put the work in to grow and continuously grow to get to the point where your tree is developed, then, ladies and gentlemen, you're not going to have the fruit that you're looking for. Okay? So that's number one. I just think that's so powerful. The appearance of fruit means that you went through the work to get there, which brings me to my second quote. Sometimes it's the journey that teaches you a lot about your destination. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the journey that we must go on to I guess, thicken our trunks, to ground those roots into the ground, to make it possible. See, the thing is, ladies and gentlemen, to be honest with you, seeds can appear in an unhospitable climate. I'm sorry. Fruit cannot appear in an unhospitable climate. So if you're seeing fruit of your labors, the fruit of your labors, heard of it before? If you're seeing the fruit, then that means you've done the things that are necessary to get you to the point where you can successfully harvest what you need. So the power of the fruit is the fact that when it shows, it is showing you that the work is done with the pieces below it, so that the fruit may come forth. You get what I'm saying? So if you're seeing fruit, ladies and gentlemen, that means you did the work a long time ago. If you're not seeing any fruit, have you actually taken time to figure out where in your process you're disconnected? Because that's all it is. It's a matter of a disconnect somewhere. You're not tending here, you're not tending there. Your roots didn't get low enough. You're not watering. Maybe you don't get enough sunlight. Eventually, you can grow all the fruit, but you got to be willing to stop and say, okay, wait a second. What I'm doing right now is not producing fruit. Now, I'm not talking about fruit in the producing of offspring, because, ladies and gentlemen, believe it or not, your offspring is your fruit. But at the same time, if you don't go through the process of growing your fruit, then it's a possibility that your offspring may not produce as much fruit either. Unless somebody grabs them, takes them, turns them, maybe gives them a great book that lets them read it, they may not turn around. They might end up in the same rut that you are. And your fruit's not growing, and their fruit's not growing. And now you got a whole bunch of just upset people. But anyways, that's a longer story than we're trying to go to. I just want to tell you about the power of the fruit. And there's one more quote. Let me tell you this last one here. Let me scoot over here so you can see it. The last one is this. If you don't sacrifice for what you want, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't put the effort in right now, the time in right now, the energy in right now, maybe lose sleep here and there, tired a little bit, maybe you sacrifice going out a little bit more. If you don't sacrifice what you want, then what you want becomes the sacrifice. Now, the reason I say that is because, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't sacrifice for what you want in the terms of growing this tree, then the fruit itself does not arrive. The arrival of the fruit will never happen because you didn't take the process and you didn't take the time to invest in the process. So we're putting in all this energy for something that needs to be done, but we're forgetting that, man, there's different steps out there. I can very easily do other things than to ground myself and grow myself so I can produce fruit. The millions and millions and millions of apples that can create from one seed, because one seed creates a whole bunch of apples, which create, let's say, just 5. Let's say one seed right here creates an apple tree. Just follow me here. One tree creates an apple seed, which means that your efforts created that tree that are going to sprout out fruit. That fruit will fall. And let's say you have 100 in there, and then all of a sudden, all those create another apple tree, and in each one of those apples is 5 more. You just created 500 more possible trees. But most people don't tend their garden. Most people don't tend their plant. Most people don't tend their apple tree to find out what's going on. So ladies and gentlemen, what I need you to do is I need you to not allow what you actually want to become the sacrifice. Because you have to give something. Either you go, and this is very specific, either you go out and party, right? And your success that's possible for you suffers, or you give up the party, your success happens, and you party a little bit later. But it's all up to you, ladies and gentlemen. You got to figure out what your sacrifice is and what you want. If you don't want to have fruit, if you don't want to have the success, if you don't want to create something that can create itself and continue on for generations to come, then ladies and gentlemen, this is not for you. But this is for the people who understand that their value and their effort creates something. That their energy that they put into life will create the power of the fruit. And the presence of the fruit shows that you did the work to create the fruit. The second, the fact that the fruit arrives allows for you to create more and to go out and build. So what I can tell you right now, ladies and gentlemen, we are all designed and destined to create more, but some of us choose not to. It's as simple as that. So if you can choose to sacrifice what you want, or what you want becomes a sacrifice. It's enough. It's a story done. Let me pull that back. And last, let me show you this one more time. A bad tree cannot bear bad fruit. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't invest in your tree, you're not going to create the fruit you want. A withered tree doesn't have the power or the energy that a strong tree that's been tended does. The withered tree cannot produce fruit that is going to be nutritious and fruitful and bring other trees. What a malnourished tree is going to bring is more malnourished fruit. and more malnourished seeds. Ladies and gentlemen, put your energy into your tree. Allow your fruit to be the biggest, best, baddest fruit around so you can produce seeds that will do the same. And that will be your legacy. You know I love that word legacy, ladies and gentlemen. So go out. The power of your fruit, ladies and gentlemen, is your legacy. And we're done. I believe and I love in each and every single one of you, and I thank you for being here today, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you. Go out there and work on your tree. Start growing. Here's the other thing real quick, ladies and gentlemen. The growth process is not quick. The growth process takes time, and you might not see fruit for a while, but it's okay because the seeds underground is building. Whenever that tree comes up and it breaks and it's a sapling, it's weak and flimsy, but don't worry, the tree trunks will form and it'll get thicker. And so soon, instead of weathering the storm, it'll kind of start staying a little bit more until it's standing straight up. But that's the way the tree is designed to do. Build your trunk, grow your roots, let those roots get down in the ground and get strong enough through nutrients and everything that you can sprout forth and bring your fruit with you. And that's all I have. Have a blessed day, guys. I will see you tomorrow.